If you start a performance conversation by immediately talking about the problem, you're probably going to create resistance. But there is something you can do before the conversation officially begins. Create safety. In our previous chapter, we talked about preparation, the data, the context, the outcome you want to change. But there's one part of preparation that leaders often forget: preparing the person for the conversation. Because you can have all the right data, but if the person walks into the conversation feeling judged, they are going to focus on defending themselves, not listening. That's why before officially starting a performance conversation, I do recommend you spending a few minutes connecting as a human beings. And this is where empathy comes in. Empathy does not mean avoiding the difficult conversation. It means recognizing that there is a person sitting in front of you, not just a KPI. You can start with simple questions like, how are you doing? How's your family doing? How have you been feeling over the last few weeks? And listen to the answer. But really listen, because this is not a technique to make someone lower their guard so you can attack them with the numbers afterward. That's manipulation. Empathy only works when it's genuine. And if your coworker tells you, honestly, I have been under a lot of pressure lately because of some external things, do not respond immediately. Well, that's what we need to talk about, those KPIs. Understand first. Here are some of the questions you can barely use as an empathy or build rapport conversation. Quick question like, how are you doing? What happened with your dog? What happened with your pet? So when you have those type of questions, you can completely change the dynamic. Because sometimes as leaders, we think we know the whole story, when all we really know are the numbers. Once you understand the context, now you can say, thank you for sharing that. I like us to look at some data together to understand what's really happening with performance. Now, you're not walking into the conversation as a judge. You're walking as a leader. Because performance conversation does not begin when you open the dashboard. It begins when you create the conditions for the other person to actually have conversation with you. Let me tell you, in our next chapter, we're putting the data on the table. That's where the hard part begins. Asking the right questions. What empathy question will you ask before starting a difficult conversation? Comment below, please.